Hey everyone, good to see you again, and thanks for joining. I got 3 new songs this week. I was kind of thinking of the theme of groove or funkiness. There's a lot of songs out there that could fall in that bracket, but mostly it's related to bass and drums in a given song. But there are 3 that I feel the guitar really defines what makes there be a groove and drives the song's popularity. What made me think of it is I listened to a guy named Rick Beato, and he hates this idea of what's called quantizing. And studio productions these days have all the pieces after they're played in the studio quantized, and all the imperfections on time snap everything back to a perfect beats per minute. And while it then might all sound in unison, it actually ends up making it sound not really human. And if you've ever had your 80s Casio keyboard, you know what I mean with some of the automated things that it plays. But these 3 songs that I'll talk about today were actually written before quantizing was invented. So not only are they imperfect and not having that taken out, it actually, some of this stuff was done on purpose, specifically to give the song drive and to make people want to bob their head and dance to it. So the first one is called Cissy Strut. The Meters wrote this song, and they are largely credited for inventing funk. They were Neville Brothers and a few other people out of the New Orleans jazz scene in the 60s. Even today, incredible music. You should definitely check it out. And gave birth to what became Parliament Funkadelic and Prince and Michael Jackson. And it's just crazy. I always love this song. It's so much fun. And to see, that is the root of this whole musical tree. So here you go. So, funk, and a lot of these songs are very repetitive, but you can see it's meant to be sort of a looping thing. It swims in and out of a different, time signature, a little ahead of it, a little behind it. Sometimes I'm playing up notes, sometimes a little ahead, kind of like snapping back into time, and it just ends up being something that really makes people want to move. And again, the song is great. You should definitely go check it out. I'll put it in the comments. And it's just a song I love to play and jam to, just to have fun. The next song, you'll be surprised I call it funky. It's and you'll also know I'm doing a disservice to it playing it not on a Gibson SG, is Back in Black by AC/DC. So specifically, this song has been broken down to show that Angus Young does these little, ways he plays ahead of the rhythm section of his band, and it gives it this drive to it. So I always loved learning that. I listened to it so many times and never realized that little thing that was being purposely done to make people want to just go nuts listening to it. So I'll play a little of that. So if you were kind of keeping time, it's really subtle, but the punch of the guitar is always coming in a little ahead of the beat. And so it has this drive, and even the is just kind of like constantly changing from like kind of a perfect metronome, and it's a fun song. Even his solos are doing that. So I was always really in love with how AC/DC does that in a lot of their songs that set them apart. Also, most famous one-handed solo ever. So a lot of fun stuff to play with AC/DC. So final song that I wanted to point out in this regard is Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan. So if any of you know Stevie Ray Vaughan, you realize he completely changed blues forever, in the way it was played, in the way people thought things were possible. I mean, blues is is an amazing thing, but it's very straightforward, and a lot of the original Delta blues was, just through these regular 12-bar rhythms, and then along comes Stevie Ray Vaughan, and around that exact same structure creates something completely different that all fits. So I'll play that for a second. So, again, all that was really happening was this, but instead it's... So, again, the idea is all of a sudden you have this sort of like, fun song that has a complete hop to it. And, all the frills that it puts in, it's just amazing. And I mean, all of his stuff from Voodoo Child to Can't Stand the Weather, Texas Flood. I mean, he just completely infuses that into everything he does, and definitely embodies what I was trying to talk about today. So thanks for joining, and see you next time.